This is your host, James Jordan,
Mike Wallace,
and the Eggman,
coming at you for yet another edition of the Wide World of Motorsports podcast, coming to you on CFMH 107.3 local FM in St. John, New Brunswick, CKMS 102.7 Radio Waterloo in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, and on the Performance Motorsports Network app on your smart device. We're also on all major streaming platforms on demand and also on social media at the WWOMS. Be sure to check out our website at www.thewideworldofmotorsportspodcast.wordpress.com. And you can also find out a way to email us and get a hold of us, wideworldofmotorsports@gmail.com, so you can figure out how we can shorten said URL to our website. And hey, we got an awesome website. We got stuff set up there for our esports, for some articles that are coming up for our upcoming season here. So lots of cool stuff through there, and you could also listen to our podcasts through there as well. So on this edition, we got an awesome one here.
We got a burner.
Let's kick it all off first, though, with our interview with the driver of the number 20 for 22 Racing. We got Treyten Lapcevich on the line.
Treyten, how are you?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate your time, and we know you're busy coming up to the start of the racing season in general. How is that going for you all around?
Good. We've been lucky enough to get out and test at both Sunset and CTMP here recently, so it's been very good to get back to the track. It seemed like a very long winter, so definitely excited to get the season kicked off this weekend.
That's great. Yeah, we're going back to a track that you're pretty familiar with, and we'll get into that. What is something that you are looking forward to the most this year for the Pinty series?
I'm excited that we have this second dirt date now with the double headers, so that's definitely really cool. We had a pretty good car on the dirt last year, so I think it's cool that they added another points race in on the dirt. I'm excited to get back to, specifically the ovals, but I'm hoping to try and get some more success on the road courses. Run well there the last 2 years in most road courses, but it'd be nice to maybe pick one up at CTMP or any other one and go from there.
Yeah, the dirt races, I hope they become a big centerpiece to our season here. And with you winning the first one, that's really special. We talked to you actually after that win, and that was super cool to be able to see that. And with the second race and with some money on the line here, what are you thinking is going to go down this August?
I think we did have some good racing last August. It was definitely hard to make both lines work. There was a good amount of cautions, but no cars really got torn up. I know there was a couple that there was that one big wreck in 3 and 4. But other than that, there wasn't a ton of carnage. So I'm just hoping with the twin races, guys will be smart in the first race. That's always a struggle. Like even on the asphalt ovals at Sutherland, like we had the big wreck last year as well in the first one. So just hoping guys can kind of keep their head on their shoulders and we can be able to race it out in the second one. With the dirt doubleheader, we do have a day in between to get stuff fixed up if we need to, but it'd be nice not to be fixing cars and just trying to make them faster heading into the next day.
What were some things that you needed to change? I'm assuming you did in your driving style or habits to adapt to that dirt race and beat the Iceman Friesen.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think the big thing about the dirt is just it's all about being smooth. You really have to. You can't push it that hard, and I think that's kind of where I excelled on the dirt with the fact that I understood how hard I could really push the car, and to an extent, slower is faster. And I think that was definitely part of it. I think, we get caught up as asphalt drivers. We get caught up in thinking we need to run the dirt track like a dirt track like we see on TV. But the truth is, with our style of cars, that's really just not the reality of it. Our cars, we're not going to be necessarily fast or kicking it wicked sideways. We just don't have that type of grip.
Right. Well, that track, that was my first time there, our first time there. And it was such a phenomenal race to watch. We had such a great spot out of just on the exit of 2 up in, I think it's normally a TV camera stand. But looking at the run this year, the 2023 season in the Pinties as a whole, you've been around for a while. You were 2021 Rookie of the Year. You're not a rookie. You're not a sophomore, but you're not a veteran. Where do you feel you fit in the Pinty series now? You made a comment, just to add to that quickly. You made a comment to Jordan actually back in when DJ rattled your cage at Delaware. You had made a comment along the lines in somewhere of that you're not your brother. So I know that you have a long family history in the sport. So what do you do to separate yourself, and where do you fit in the series, or see that you fit in the series right now?
I think at this point I've pretty well separated myself. I've had my own success and won some races now. And I think the truth of the matter is there's about 3 different categories of Pinty's drivers. Like you said, there is the veterans. There's the guys that have been doing it forever. Obviously DJ fits into that category. I think Lacroix was new, like when my father was racing, but now it's been so long. He definitely fits in that category. Likewise with Ranger. And so on. But then there's also that different category, which I think I fit in. It's, like you said, it's not quite a veteran, but not a rookie. More so a newcomer. But at this point, I've been racing around these guys for long enough that I think they understand how I race. I understand how they race. So, I don't necessarily see myself as on another level than per se DJ or Ranger or Lacroix. Like I think I can race them and they can race me like I'm anyone else, really. So there's definitely the issues with being a rookie, as I was in 2021. People like to push the rookies around, but I think until you have your own success, that's kind of a different story.
That's great. I mean, I can't disagree with that. I would say Jordan and I were talking off air about it, that we both believe you're a very clean racer and a very fair racer. So there's never been a real reason. Even that move in 21, I would say that you gave DJ the inside line. You're very gracious. So I can't say that anybody should have any issues with you on the track. I mean, you're fast. You're in top equipment. You have top, 3-time champ running the team, great crew. What are your goals for this race going? I know it's the first race of the season, but we only have 12 races and the points don't separate very much here. So what's a goal for this race? Where will you be happy coming out of this race to set you on to CTMP?
I think last year, to be honest with you, we tried some new things with the oval cars, and we didn't have the speed that we had in 2021. I think 2021, I think every time I showed up at an oval, the expectation was that I had a car to compete for the win. And, I definitely did. Every time we showed up at the track, we were definitely the fastest car. We had a lot of bad luck in 2021. That's just kind of how it went. 2022, I think we kind of just struggled. I mean, we were there on the ovals. We were always kind of running up front. We had a good run at Sutherland until we ran into some bad luck. Good run at Edmonton, too, until some bad luck. And then Sunset, I mean, we were quick, but we didn't have the winning car. We were a top 3 car for the most part off of raw speed. So I'm hoping that this year we can kind of show back up to the track and we've scaled back kind of. To be honest, we've scaled back to where we were in 2021 and tried to improve off of that instead of totally going a different direction as we did in 2022. So I think this year I'm hoping to show up to Sunset and just have a good car. I mean, I want to compete for a win. That's the expectation. I mean, it's my, I would call it my home track, for sure. So, I mean, we're hoping to compete for a win. If not, we're going to be competing up there in the top 3, hopefully all night.
I think you can definitely do it. It was a great race last year. I was there. It was great weather. That track puts on good racing. I think it promotes good racing. It seems to have, it has 2 lanes. What makes a quick lap at Sunset versus a consistent lap at Sunset? Or are they the same?
Well, honestly, I think at Sunset's a different track because it's not necessarily the fastest car in qualifying. It will be the car to win the race. When we get long runs at Sunset, a lot changes. So I think, and that's a little different to other tracks. I think as the years have went on, and as someone who's pretty much done a lap at Sunset every year since 2015, if not hundreds of laps, I've understood how that track has changed. It's definitely lost a lot of grip. So I think it's not necessarily what makes your car the fastest in qualifying, what puts you top of the boards in practice, but it's how your car is going to handle in the long run. And that's definitely something that we've focused on the last 2 years. It's something that I keep on my mind during practice, just understand how this car is going to change throughout the race. And it's something we focus on in testing as well. So, the big thing about Sunset is making sure that you have enough grip to get off the corners, because that's generally what you lose first. I mean, we're all struggling with bite. These cars are definitely very heavy, and we have a lot of power with very little suspension. So,
right.
The big thing is just making sure you can keep those rear tires on the car. But at the same time, you still got to be able to turn the corner and get the car pointed as well.
Yeah, and last year, if memory serves me right, I think we might have had 1 caution in the first stage and 2, maybe 3 in the last stage. In the second stage, there were long green runs there. So what have you done this year to prepare for these endurance style races, right? You were running late models, you were doing 100 lappers. I'm not knocking those type of races. Those are hard races. There is no doubt. But we got into 250 laps or, 60 laps or whatever it was at CTMP or Toronto. What have you done to improve your fitness or your performance for this year?
I think just being active has been most of it, trying to prepare for those style of races. The 250 laps, I mean, in the heat of the summer, it definitely gets a little bit much, but no, I mean, we try and, it's hard when we got all the snow on the ground, but trying to stay active, exercise, stuff like that. And that's pretty much all of it for the most part. When you have a good handling car, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So let's move off of Sunset. I asked you what would be where a good spot would be for the first race. Let's look at the middle of the season. Where do you think you need to be, and where do you hope to be to set you up to run through to finish out strong at Delaware and get that trophy?
I think the biggest problem with 2021 and 2022 is that we had so much bad luck through probably the early and middle parts of the season. Last year, to say the least, it was a really up and down season. I mean, we started the season off with a big win at Sunset, and then we have bad luck the next couple races. We pretty much had bad luck on every oval, except for Sunset in Newfoundland. So it's definitely a tough deal like that. But I think we just really have to minimize the mechanical failures this year, put ourselves in a good spot. I think the big thing with the Pinty series is that if you can run top 10 every single race, you're going to put yourself up in a spot to definitely be there for the championship or contend for one.
Yeah, and no doubt that's tough in this field of drivers. These cars are older. If I'm not, I want to be nice, they're not. They're nothing. So they're big, heavy stock cars. It's fun to watch. Let's move past this year. Let's fast forward 5 years. Where do you see Treyten Lapcevich racing in 5 years?
I'd like to say down south in one of the top 3 series, but I think everyone kind of knows how difficult that is, especially as someone from Canada. I don't think our series or our racers really get the I would say the awareness or the reputation that we should have. I mean, I think the NASCAR Pinty Series has some of the best drivers in North America, to say the least. I mean, there's not many drivers that can be so versatile to run on both asphalt ovals, road courses, and dirt. And I think that's what makes us so good, and the field's so competitive because, I mean, everyone's good everywhere. There's not really a track where someone just completely excels. It's always it's a tough deal. It really is.
Well, I would agree with that, and I think when I hear them talk on TV about the first street race for NASCAR, I'm going, man, just none of you are looking up north. We've been doing it not just one street course. We've been running out of couples. So I would agree that the drivers are top notch. That with what you just said there, I kind of made me think, what is something that we can do to change that? Like, how can we showcase our drivers better, our racing? We have good racing. I would say we have some of the best racing. I don't find myself falling asleep during a Pinty's race. I do fall asleep during a 500-mile cup race sometimes. So what can we do to showcase you guys, more, better?
I think a really high part for the Pinty series, or a high point in the whole life cycle, has been mainly when the trucks came to CTMP and we were racing alongside the trucks. I wasn't racing in Pinty's at that time, but watching my dad and my brother racing at that point, and seeing the Pinty's guys that kind of dabbled in the trucks at that time, because that's really is a good opportunity for Pinty's drivers to kind of shed some light and get their shot on an international stage. So I think that's a big thing that would be good if NASCAR could kind of take some initiative in that sense to get the nationwide cars, like when they were racing at Montreal, and the Pinty Series racing at Montreal too. You saw guys like J.R. Fitzpatrick, Tagliani running in the Xfinity Series, and that was some of the best opportunities that Pinty's drivers got, and I'm sure that led to more. In the sense, being able to see the talent in the Pinty Series directly. So I think it'd be really good if NASCAR in the future could move along and pair us with an Xfinity race, or bring trucks back to CTMP, something along those lines that really sets us right beside one of the top 3 national series. And I think that opens some doors and some opportunities.
Are you perhaps hinting that there may be some possibility for you to go down south and do something maybe this year with your brother, maybe?
I'm not sure. It would so much be this year. It's tough because when you're trying to run for a top team, or do stuff in the States, specifically when there's so much, there really is a lot of competition for rides in the States, and it all starts with a checkbook at the end of the day. So you really got to be planning a year ahead. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything lined up for the States this year. Right. If anything, we might try and get the late model out again and go to, it'd be nice to get down to the Snowflake again. We had such a blast when we did that in 2021, so that'd be really cool. Other than that, we don't really have anything lined up, but it's definitely something that I want to do in the future, and I could see myself doing in the next couple of years.
Well, that'd be great, and we would love to see you down at the Snowflake. We love that we get such a good Canadian presence down there. I'd say that's one way to show off Canadian talent is get Canadian drivers into a race that's got a lot of eyes on it. I saw a post on Facebook saying that you have some room on the car, and you want to talk about that a little bit? I think part of our job, not just talking about racing, is helping you guys out too, and giving you a platform to speak. so to speak. What's going on? How many are you looking for? A big sponsorship, full-time sponsorship for the year?
We've been pretty lucky with sponsors over the last couple of years running the Pinty series. This year we kind of ran into a little hurdle. We do have enough funding to start the season. We have enough funding to run most of the season, but right now it's just really hard to say if we're going to be able to finish the season off. So, in saying that, we do have some space left on the car, but a lot of the sponsorship, it doesn't even revolve around the logo on the car. It comes more in the sense of social media and in publicity in that sense. So,
right.
Our team's open to that. We'd love to have some more partners involved. We're always running up front, and it's a good time to get international coverage. So, we're looking for partners to. We're kind of right now. We're kind of handling it on a geographical standpoint, trying to find sponsors more local to certain races, which we've had some success with so far. We've got some great partners lined up that we're hopefully going to announce in the next couple of weeks here.
Awesome.
And hopefully that's something we can continue leading on or later in the year as well.
Well, I hope somebody out there hears this and is like, just wants to put their name on the car and activate with you. It would be money well spent, because we all know you're a top talent. You showed it last year. You won 2 races. You put it on. You took a pole last year. You went 4 the year before that.
10 top 10s, 7 top 5s.
Yeah, we need a driver like you in this series, a young, absolutely, hot shoe. So I hope we can keep you in this series. All the
fun to watch
for forever.
Great to talk to. Good to have around. Absolutely, Wallace. I completely agree with that. And we're going to be looking forward to watching you this weekend on TSN Plus and throughout the season as well. On your social, what's your social media? Is that again? Where can we find you online? Follow you. More of your awesome onboard videos.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to expand this off season and bring a stronger social media presence.
Get a podcast going, man.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but
we do it.
The big thing that I've been trying to focus on in the off season was trying to create a YouTube channel, because I understand that there's a lot of traction there. You can get not only the fans involved that have already been involved for the past few years, but also activate and engage with potential new fans that have similar interests. So it's always a good opportunity if we can do something like that. We're definitely going to have a lot more footage coming throughout the whole year, not only from testing, but also some race day stuff as well. So definitely should be cool. And hopefully we can bring a lot of recognition to our sponsors and all of the partners that help us do it.
Would you like to name some of those sponsors?
Absolutely. This year, we're really grateful to have both Delta Bingo and Foundation Building Materials back to help us. They've been great supporters over the last 2 years, and hopefully that's a relationship that we can continue to build on moving forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll be at Sunset. Jordan will be at CTMP. I'm trying to get to CTMP, but good luck this weekend. We are very excited for you to defend the race win.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, look forward to hearing your scanner, man. Take it easy.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
That was a good time there for sure with Trey. Getting some time with him before the beginning of the season, coming by the WOMs. Hey, we had him in 2020, back when he was like 17. We talked to him after he won that dirt race, and then getting him on the show again. That's real cool for him, giving us the time. And thank you, Trey. It's always good to have really drivers come on. And I said this. I'll say this to drivers on and off air. It really does help when they give us time on the show. Gives us the chance to grow, and it helps us. So thanks to Trey for that. And also, as a fan and being able to share some of the sides of things from that interview to some of the other fans out there, being able to hear Trey, hear his confidence and hear the determination and hearing how and where he's focused on for the season. That's really cool too.
And the realities of it. And he was very honest, which was nice.
Yeah. There's a couple points there too, when you talk about the realities of things, where he stands with the series now. And I think we all kind of agreed on that. He's earned the respect, and we all know that he's separated himself from the other Lapceviches. And also with, it's hard to believe such a talent. And obviously what he was saying to us was true. It's just hard. I can't believe that such a talent has potential sponsorship hurdles for, it sounds like toward the end of the season, they're looking into finalizing some things. So that'd be exciting to hear in the upcoming weeks, but also hearing their, it's cool to hear a sponsor, how they do it. To be honest, that was cool to hear him talk about how they're, what their plan is this season for that. So yeah, hearing some of the behind the scenes things too, so to say. And also, going into Sunset this weekend.
Yeah. I just heard a very determined Treyten Lapcevich. We touched on it. He fits in this middle category. He's not a rookie. He's not a veteran, but he's a wheelman. He's an ace. And he seems really prepared, with the hurdles in front of him of not having full season commitment from sponsorships. Definitely will make it a little harder for him just because he'll have that mental aspect of it. But he is a top talent, and I'm hope he finds somebody to help him out. And I think his determination that I see is going to come out in his racing and might attract the right type of person.
I anticipate early on in the season we'll see why it's good to sponsor with.
Well, he's defending race winner at Sunset.
20.
So, and that's where we'll be race one of the series. I'll be there. I cannot wait. I love that track. And we have the Big Z Memorial Race, 46 laps to honor Bill Zardo Sr. and 4,600 to win.
Those are
Oscar
Hot
Rods.
Yeah,
Oscar
nice.
Hot Rod. Yeah, so that'll be really good to be the undercard to the NASCAR Pinty series again at Sunset Speedway. I think gates open at 1:30, and I think the Oscar race is at 4, and then the green flag for the Pinty series is 7. So it'll be fun.
On social media, we're going to try to get it all to you as much as we can on Saturday at the WWOMS, and throughout the weekend too. And next week's episode, we're going to have some interviews and some of Wallace's tales from the track. Hey, there we go. That's a new segment on the spot we should make for Wallace for next week.
We need some classic music and
yeah, some royalty-free classic music on that. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that on TSN Plus Saturday night and talk about it next week, and then see what happens with the CTNP race for round 2 of that schedule. And once again, thanks to Trey, and we'll be looking forward to seeing him this weekend as well. And we have also talked to LP, hoping to get a good word with him for the next week's episode. As we are about halfway past this edition of the Wide World of Motorsports podcast, of course, coming to you on CFMH 107.3 and local FM St. John, New Brunswick, CKMS 102.7 in Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario, and on the PMN app. We're just talking to NASCAR Pinty Series driver Treyten Lapcevich, the driver of the number 20 in 22 racing there. And now we're going to be going on to our driver spotlight, which is a little later in the episode as usual, but I think this one is a pretty unanimous one.
Yeah, for episode
for our
17, we are going to go pay tribute to Jules Bianchi. Jules lost his life at the Japanese Grand Prix. Well, a year after the Japanese Grand Prix. And man, I should have looked that up. I can't remember. 2014, thank you. He went off the track in wet conditions and struck the rear of a front-end loader that was recovering another car of Adrian Sutil, I believe, and made contact with his head, and then succumbed to his injuries a year later. So F1 retired his number, and we'd like to pay tribute to Jules Bianchi.
Yeah, that was very touching, Wallace. Thank you for that. That was good. Yeah, I think all of us agree with that one. And for number 17 this week, that's what we're going with. It's a good one. And let's continue on with Formula at Miami. I liked
Formula,
it. You guys, it didn't sound like you guys.
It was okay. It was what I've come to expect from Formula One at this stage.
Yeah, it wasn't anything.
Not a race to write home about.
No, but I mean, I guess you can't really be too upset about that because I mean that happens. That's part of racing.
They can't all be lightning rods.
Yeah.
I mean, Max did go from, I think it was P9 to go on to win.
I was sitting at home with my orange
after
shirt
that
on.
whole qualifying thing.
Yeah, what happened there?
I haven't read the full article on it yet, but it was a lot of guys just didn't get a time in for, I think there was a red flag or something.
Oh, okay, yes.
Full disclosure, I didn't watch all of qualifying. I just watched the highlights.
Hey, but that's a lot to watch sometimes.
It was a packed Sunday, though. There was a lot of people
busy.
there. 200,000 people.
I'm curious. It's I feel like the race has maybe lost its draw from the first year, especially with having the Las Vegas Grand Prix this year as well. So just having all of that one right after the other, like, I mean, one new one and then this year they're having another new one, might have detracted a bit from this event.
Yeah.
Thomas and I were saying we both it's not I like the track to race on, like when I play F1, but it's not a great
I agree
track
with
to
that
watch.
big time.
It's not a good spectator track.
No.
Um,
I think it's a market. It's a market they need to be in, of course. As it's a great market, I would think, for them. But
yeah, it's just they're adding so many races in the U.S., and several of you already know this. But because of the massive success of Netflix's Drive to Survive series in the U.S., has created several being an understatement, more Formula One fans in the U.S. than there has been prior. So they're kind of cash grabbing, putting as many races in this part of the world as possible. And I'm not really super thrilled about it, even though I live here.
I hope that's not the reason why.
It's definitely the reason
I
why.
hope it's because America's awesome.
America.
Yeah.
They're obvious. I mean, F1's owned by Liberty. Liberty is an American company. There's definitely a bigger and American presence in the series with Zach Brown and what he brings to the table, and just celebrities, American celebrities being involved. Brad Pitt making the movie, and of course Drive to Survive. That being Netflix must be an American company. Not must be. I believe it is an American company. So there's just that big pull into the United States. It's been a market that's never really been that great for F1. Actually, it's not. And then after the tire debacle after that USGP
at Indy, it was just
it killed it here. It really killed it here. And then the racing wasn't super exciting back then either. So they're recovering, but I'd like to see Grand Prix a little more north, right? A little in the United States. They got 3 that's in the South, right? Miami.
Yeah, they've got
Texas and Vegas.
Miami, and Texas are all the southern half of the country. It'd be cool if they came up here, but we'd need another Class 1 circuit, which we do not have.
No, I mean, they could go back to Indy, and they've talked about reconfiguring that. I know Roger Penske's got some plans apparently for that, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But
I can, if they do some changes to the Indianapolis road course, I can see them replacing Miami with that eventually. Because I don't think you alluded to it before we went on air here that they were having trouble giving tickets away down there this weekend. So it's only the second running of the Miami GP, but it's already hurting a little bit.
I mean that we can go on to something else of it, but that happened at Paul Ricard. There was much anticipation. We were back racing Formula One in France and all of this stuff. And the first race, although okay, I mean the racing was never been good there. The track's super boring.
It's not a very good track, period. But
apparently it was just a nightmare with traffic. And look, I don't even think we're going there this year. So it's unfortunate because it looks like it cost a lot of money to put it on. But that's kind of what happens, Look at Vietnam. They were to host a Grand Prix. They put all this money into it. We're building the track, the pit complex. COVID happened. It never happened. So,
right.
You never know.
I liked it. Obviously, it was no surprise we were going to see the Red Bull battle there, but also, maybe even 2 Alonso with the third place. So I like the track, as you said, on a video game. I watched it over the Cup though. Let's talk about Cup a bit here. Both were on around at the same time, so I had one up on one screen and one up at the other. And
I think F1 started half an hour after and finished an hour earlier or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, if we have a minute, I'd like to touch base on that, but continue with what you were saying.
Oh, well, just having both races on at the same time, it was like, wow, this will be a little bit of a touch-up of when we're going to the trifecta in a couple of weeks, when we're watching all 3 races in one day. But
go ahead, Thomas. What do you got?
I would like to air some dirty laundry here about why on earth it takes NASCAR so long to finish a flippin' race. So I've told you guys that I DVR about 85 to 90% of the races because I just don't have time to sit down and watch the whole thing. Yeah. But when I hit record and I record an hour past because my DVR does that,
it still doesn't.
And I still have 25 to 30 laps cut off the end of the race, something needs to change.
All for Thomas.
It can't be just me. If they can't fit it in the time slot that they purchase, they need to either shorten up the broadcast or buy a bigger time slot.
I wonder, does that come down to maybe NASCAR themselves believed that? Well, and that's not true. They sell those media time slots years and years and years in advance. I was going to say maybe NASCAR just felt that because of Vegas and some of the other races that it wasn't going to go that long, so they just didn't account for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, but I mean, it's not just the Cup races. I lose laps off of truck races that aren't even particularly caution-filled.
Those are. I was going to say the truck races are. That's a whole other episode.
The people who DVR, they take this stuff real seriously. We've had comments on this on some of our posts. people who, we kind of spoil the results for them when we post it instantly because they DVR it, or in Thomas's case here, you get cut off from your recording. Yeah, that sucks for the fan.
You know what? I'll give that to you too, Thomas, because my father-in-law back a couple years ago was maybe 6 or 7 years ago was having that issue with the Formula One races. He would DVR them, and like in particular, the Canadian Grand Prix got delayed massively, and he missed like the whole second half of the race when Button won and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder why at our short tracks, I don't want to be rude, but sometimes I'm like, what is going on here? Why are we just doing laps? It seems like, with debris or a car, or, you never know what's going on, but and I don't know. Maybe they're just are they trying to just set it up, make sure that it's a good ending?
I don't know, and I'm not going to beat this horse to death. It's just something I wanted to bring out into the public eye. But
I don't know.
The one thing I have noticed is when I go to start a race, 95% of the time it takes 30 or more minutes from the start of the race broadcast until the green flag is dropped, and that is an issue for me. All of the pre-race stuff, the national anthem, the command to fire, the driver lineups, all that stuff. That should be in the pre-race show, because that's pre-race. If you're tuning in to watch the race, you want to watch the race.
Yeah,
if you want to see the pre-race stuff, because I know a lot of people do, a lot of people enjoy it. Just watch the pre-race show. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me.
You that much, you might as well watch it live. Anyway, let's get on into Kansas here.
Anyways, how did it go? Where are we gonna go? Where trucks first?
Might as well.
I didn't even know there was a truck race.
Grant Enfinger won. I didn't watch it. I caught the highlights of that race. It didn't seem particularly entertaining to me, but
no,
it
wasn't
better.
It wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
Cup was definitely the better.
Yeah,
of the two.
Let's talk about that.
It
was super hot there for the drivers that week, and compared to some of the other races, we saw a couple hot races when they went out west, but obviously early on in the season, some cool temperatures. Drivers not really dealing with the heat and some potential exhaustion that would come from that. So, factor coming in. I always like to look into the weather for a factor coming into a race. It comes in big, especially with a package like this, with the tires, with the clean air, when you're running out there. You don't want any of that crappy hot air in there. It's going to space out the cars a lot more, especially with how the package is too. So it plays a big factor into it. We weren't screwed by any rain delays though, which was nice. But
or lightning
delays, which I
that
feel like is
a
common thing. You think of that. You think of Kansas, you think of that, right?
Yeah, it was Kansas was great. That was a fantastic race. Probably maybe a little bit out of left field, considering what Vegas looked like and what.
Yeah, I
certainly
certainly
some of the packages looked like.
I certainly don't think of Kansas as an exciting racetrack, but they put on a pretty good show this weekend. It was
pretty good.
Hot, greasy, slipping and sliding.
I think we saw the lower downforce package do what it's supposed to do, because we saw a number of cars just spin out, which we haven't seen in the Cup Series for probably 5 to 10 years.
And the wind direction too.
The wind didn't help, but the lack of downforce made it so you had to actually drive the car.
I was gonna say while I was watching this race, it felt very IndyCar to me. And what I mean by that, we spoke about it kind of last week when we talked to Barber, when they were just hustling, and like IndyCars just so hustle and they're everywhere, and then you might get a caution of a car spinning out or not or whatnot. But that's kind of how I felt this race was. These guys were going all out, and maybe it's not that they're going all out. They are, but but maybe it's that the cars they move around. They're moving around, so it just looks like they're really having to hustle these cars, and that makes a more entertaining race. When it looks easy, everyone says it. When it looks like you could do it, then it's not hard. When it looks insane, then that's what we want to see.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying is that they looked like they actually had to work for their money this week, and I really appreciated that.
How about MTJ? I think we are seeing him finding his groove again. It might be coming back, I think. Might be a force.
Stella got his groove back.
Yeah. There was a lot of Toyotas fast anyways. Chevys too. All 6 Toyotas were in the top 10 at the beginning parts of the race and throughout the race. Blaney, Brad K also up there. There's a couple other Fords too. But there's a couple of points specifically here we'll touch on as we have about 10 minutes or so as we wrap up the show here. I'd like this first thing. Larson's getting ran over a lot, intentionally or unintentionally. We saw it at the beginning of the race. Was it like Joe Gibbs or not Joe Gibbs? Was it Ty Gibbs or?
I think it was Tyler Reddick, wasn't it?
Reddick. It was Reddick. Reddick.
Reddick. Yeah.
I think Larson needs to take off the glove. I don't know what he needs to do, but he needs to start being a bit more aggressive.
No, but people are pushing he races too much. Yeah, but he races like that. Like I'm not the first one to say this, but and I agree. You see, he kind of races a little bit with that dirt mentality where because they don't have spotters or mirrors, they kind of just they expect people to not be in the position when they and make you lift, and he was doing that, and Reddick didn't mean to spin him out, and we'll get to the Denny part.
Honestly, had it ended his day, I assume he would have been more upset than he was, but he was in the lead with 1 to go, so I mean, like, yeah, it's a bump in the road, but like it didn't derail.
Let's go to the Denny thing here.
I didn't mind it.
I just look at it as it's the last lap. Wins mean everything. Why would anybody ever expect any driver to lift when they see? We just think about us on iRacing. We see if the person is right there and we're in second place and they make one little bobble, you're like yes,
kiss, and
you got to jump on it.
You're going. You're taking it. You're doing it.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. That's for nothing. For sure. So, but I can guarantee you I can find in an hour, give you a handful of clips over Denny Hamlin's career of him criticizing that exact moment. Now that he's got a little special podcast, he's going to go, look at me. I am the messiah of NASCAR. And that bugs me. And if that's where we're at, that's why I'm kind of going back to where I hope Larson takes his gloves off from here on out. And I think if that's what we're doing to win races now, then let's go get him.
So the reason I have been a Kyle Larson fan for a long time, not just since he came to Hendrick, is he races using a similar mindset to I do in iRacing and really in just life, because I coach football too, is the best way.
Coach Eggman.
The best way to beat a dirty driver is to race him clean. They can't stand it. The same thing with other football teams. If a football team's playing you dirty, play them clean. Beat them clean. They can't stand it.
Mm.
And Kyle Larson has the talent to do that.
But I don't think anything. I don't see. I am a Kyle Larson fan as well, but I don't see that Kyle's been wronged in any real egregious
Kyle's cool
way
with it after the race. He was more happy about the fight between.
He was laughing about the fight between Chastain
that cheered him up,
Gregson.
And he still finished in the top 5 or whatever. So that was good to see a smile on his face. Second. What about that fight too between Gregson and as we wrap it up here with Gregson versus?
It was
it
was a grab and a hit.
I'm not going to blame Chastain for this one because in seeing what happened on track to cause that little kerfuffle, Noah Gragson needs to grow up.
100%, 100%.
He's a Wobbs
I was
alumnus,
waiting
too.
for him. I've seen worse between teammates than that. Like, I don't know what he's upset about.
So just look at the contrast between the two things that happened. Larson and Hamlin, Kyle Larson got out and was in the middle of saying that's just part of racing when Ross Chastain punched Noah in the face. And then Noah Gragson, less contact, less damage, for not an important position really at all, because if you don't win, you're pretty much not going to win a championship anyway. And he comes over and gets all up in Ross Chastain's face for pretty much nothing.
I think he's just, I don't disagree on a little bit on your thoughts, Jordan, with Denny. The one thing is, I think, and I've made this comment to you before, about the showmanship, not unlike wrestling. And I think these guys are starting to realize, too, there is more to it. There's more showmanship. Like, I don't believe the feelings these guys say all the time. There's sometimes I do, because you can tell, but when it gets crazy and like this is
that's crazy. With Gragson and that Chastain, that was crazy. Whereas with Larson and Hamlin, there was a bit of,
I think there's just racing.
Gentlemen's. Yeah, I kind of.
There was a level of
you
class.
gave me a little kiss, and
he moved him the right way. He just gave him enough
to
get him out of the way. He didn't wreck him. Right. He didn't dump him.
Yeah.
He was losing it on his own a little bit, right? He hits the wall.
Well, he had been loose in 1 and 2 for the last 15 laps.
Yeah. So I mean.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, but that
I'm not saying Denny didn't help him. I just
not that someone does need to stand up to Chastain, but that was just like, come on, that was a bit of a joke. And anyways, let's do our picks here as we have a couple more minutes here. Or this past weekend's Eggman with getting the same points out of Kansas as Wes, who we're all trying to beat Wes. So he got third. Wallace and Ty Parker tie another win. Of a weekly win. Good on him. And then Dirty Joe, who was at the track, got fifth.
He didn't even. Oh, did he really?
He made his picks there too. Yeah, he was
cool.
at track. And then
That's
Pepe
cool.
and I just sucked. We got 6th and 7th at the end. We just didn't do very good out of Kansas.
I finally had a good week, and I could not be happier about it.
Yeah, anything that helps you move up, though. Although I think Wes has it taken though. Wallace in second. Ty Parker
races in.
Yeah, it's kind of done.
I'm
even.
Kidding.
It's
not
done. Go
to
fantasygames.nascar.com. Check out the Wide World of Motorsports League. We'd love to have you. I'm picking Ross Chastain because Trackhouses, I think they're doing good, and maybe Chastain will find some goodness. Chase, got to put Chase in at Darlington, and especially now that I think he's on a bit of a group. I might put MTJ in at some point, depending on how practice and qualifying go. But Josh Berry, I'm going to use him up because I'm going to assume that there's not going to be too many more instances of a replacement being needed in the Cup Series. I would assume that it's a good thing to assume too. Chase Briscoe, we'll probably have 2 Chase in, and then Ryan Newman. Oh, we got to put him in. So
not in Rick Ware equipment, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you guys going to pick as we have a couple minutes here as we wrap it up?
Ooh, I think I got to go Eric Jones. 1, because I got to use him, and 2, I mean, it makes sense. Ooh, I have a feeling Joey's going to be a little upset. So Joey, we're going to look at some other Fords, maybe Brad K. Ryan Blaney's definitely knocking on the door. And, I feel a little heater from some other Toyotas. And, I think a little Christopher Bell action.
Eggman?
I have only made a couple changes to my roster this week. I'm leaving Barry in because, like you said, there's not many more races probably that we're going to have that option. and he has been performing fairly well. I also have Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, just because Hendrick is one of the best teams in the sport right now, so it's not a bad idea. I put Brad K in because he's been on an upward trajectory all season, and I feel like he's due to do something. And Daniel Suarez is the other one.
Ooh.
That's another good one for Trey.
Put Daniel Suarez, and Kyle Busch is still in my garage.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, my garage is going to be... We'll see what's going to happen with that. How about this? We're going in... This is the throwback weekend, so we're looking at some spicy-looking throwbacks. My favorite's going to be the Chrome Illusion 24 going into this weekend. What do you guys got?
Ooh. I do like the Kyle Busch throwback to when his first win at RCR. I think I'm really liking that Joey Logano tribute to Mark Donohue.
Oh, that was a good one. What about you, Eggman?
I am looking at Ross Chastain's tasty Dale Jarrett throwback to the UPS days.
Yeah, I saw the video on that.
They secured the UPS sponsorship to put it all together, so... And I think it's just better executed than Ricky Stenhouse's, which is shockingly the exact same paint scheme.
I like that. I like that one. Well, we're gonna have it all for you next week. We're gonna have a jam-packed couple episodes the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned to it all on all major streaming platforms. CFMH 107.3 local FM in St. John, New Brunswick on Saturdays at noon. CKMS 102.7 Radio Waterloo in Kitchener, Waterloo, and Ontario on Fridays throughout the month, and on the Performance Motorsports Network. You can also check us out www.thewideworldofmotorsportspodcast.wordpress.com, where we'll of course post up our interview that we had with Trey earlier on the episode. Once again, thank you to Trey. Check us out on social media at the WWOMS for this weekend when we go to Sunset. Just about wraps it up for this edition. I am James Jordan.
Mike Williams.
And I am the Eggman.
See y'all around the bend.
Adios.
Bye-bye.